Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Tonight, even the wind is afraid.
This is episode 148, recorded March 26, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
I thought, oh, this is cool. Chad's providing appropriate sound. My name is Jeff
They
Mohr.
were, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean,
farts
Diego
are always
might have
funny.
been around the
And you
corner
want a good strong wind when somebody passes gas.
to
Get it out of
just-
your area, yeah.
Yeah, get it out of there. My name is Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time through 1969. And each episode, we'll discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. Yeah. Decades of Horror is partnering with Play Now Media on a whole bunch of their channels. I got to rewrite my copy, but Classic Era is on Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, Classic Horror Movie Channel, the Free Horror Movie Channel, and the Free Classic Horror Movie Channel, and I think also on Wicked Horror TV, and 70s and 80s are on those last three, Wicked Horror TV and Free Horror Movie Channel. So check us out there. Those are available on Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, etc. And cool stuff. There's a lot of good movies on there. In fact, I think our next episode has a movie that's available there. Okay, so check out some of their apps. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up is Whitney Collazo, an accomplished artist, makeup artist, and writer. Whitney, how are you?
I'm good. I would say que pedo, which means what fart, but we already heard it through Chad after he did his wind stuff.
Well, now we're adding wet to the whole thing. Okay.
Oh, I said what?
Oh.
What?
I thought it was a wet fart. We're gonna get demonetized. No.
Anyway, how are you?
Glad you're here. Also with us is Chad Hunt, co-host on Decades Before the 1970s and the 1980s, film producer and director with Wreak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer. Chad, how you doing? Wait a minute.
Is he messing with us, or can he not hear us? I mean, we can't hear him. I mean,
now he's messing with us.
I'm good.
Oh my gosh.
Our listeners wonder what in the hell. And finally, it's Daphne, who is awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. Daphne, how you doing?
Hi guys, I'm doing real good. As always, fantastic to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see
here.
everybody too. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be a spoiler podcast, especially a classic here. I mean, nothing is newer than what year was that? 54 years old. So, we're going to talk about all the details of this movie. On this podcast, we also start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie. Then we get into some general discussion of whatever trips our trigger, hopefully, and most of the time, related to the movie. So our movie this episode is Even the Wind is Afraid, which is a great title, I think. Released in 1968, written and directed by Carlos Enrique Taboada. Cast includes Marga Lopez, Bobby Cruz, Olivier, Alicia Bonet, Norma Lazarino, Renata Sadel, Elizabeth Dupeyron, Rafael Lamas, Enrique Garcia Alvarez. Produced by Taro Films. Filming locations, Estudios Churubusco in Mexico City on May 22nd to June 20th in 1967, and it was released May 30th, 1968 in Mexico. Originally, even The Wind is Afraid is the English title. The original Spanish title is Hasta viento, tiene, miedo. And that translates to Even the Wind is Afraid, according to Google Translate. So a synopsis. When Claudia and her friends break the rules by trespassing into a forbidden tower, the school's headmistress punishes them by confining them to the school during spring break. A similar incident happened 5 years before with horrendous, tragic consequences. Will they happen again? All righty. And we see a shadow of a girl with a rope.
Not just
Which
any
is a
rope,
portent of
one with a
things to
noose on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. So we've done other movies by
What was
this
that you
director
said there at
before.
the end?
I don't know. What did I say?
I don't know. It sounded strange, like a woo 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 or something like that.
Yeah, probably was. Probably what I said.
Okay.
All right.
No explanation for it.
I have no. That's. I'm going to try to quit saying and all right and so anyway, so you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Oh, woo 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 is a great replacement for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so this time for first impressions. This is Whitney's pick. So, what are your first impressions, and what do you know about this?
Okay, so I've never seen this before. First time seeing it very recently. I was interested because we've visited some of Carlos Enrique Taboada's work before when we saw the Book of Stone. And I thought, okay, how cool would it be to watch some more of his stuff and talk about it? So this one is definitely very, well, I wouldn't say very different. It is different from the Book of Stone based on, what you've mentioned in the synopsis, but also because there's just so much feminine energy. I mean, it takes place in a school with girls, and there's just but the air of mystery is somewhat similar based on what's ghostly or who with Book of Stone, like when it comes to like hauntings or mysteries. I think that's the one thing that it has in common is that kind of theme. But what I really liked is the tension, the drama with like in this female centric kind of story. And some of it was conflicting too. So I can't wait to hear your opinions on this also.
Okay. I'm always interested in the stuff you pick. Daphne, how about you? Had you seen this before?
No. I did a little bit of research about the movie after we watched The Book of Stone, and thought that they sounded really interesting. And so I was really excited when Whitney picked it. And I really liked it. I thought the beginning was awesome. What a way to start a movie. I loved the girls. They were horrible, but
yes,
but they were also great. And I'm realizing more and more that I kind of really dig gothic horror stuff, and makes me kind of want. I've read a little bit of them, and I'm thinking maybe I need to read some more. But I liked all the spooky kind of ghost storyness of it, and I thought it was really fun, and I wish more people knew about it because I think it's a really fun movie, and I'm glad we're talking about it.
Well, hopefully a couple more people will know about it after this, but I'm glad we're talking about it too. Chad, how about you? what did you think of Even the Wind is Afraid?
This is the first time I've ever heard of this movie, and so I was watching it. It had a great opening scene, very nightmarish and scary at the same time. I really like this. It felt like hammerish in a way, with the gothic feel of it and everything. The characters were really good. The girls were a bunch of a-holes for the most part, and they were. You can't have a movie about girls to school without something weird going on. It never fails, Suspiria. You just can't. Something's going to have a witch in it, or a ghost, or a zombie, or something like that. But this was really, really good. Very well done. Very well written, I thought, and shot. Written, I say, as in story-wise in general. I know reading the captions as we're going, it probably wasn't translated very well or the best. But story-wise, it's a great story. And it made, what I liked the most about it was, even though some of these girls, especially the headmistress, were mean and cruel sometimes, at least the movie gave you a little bit of why they might be that way. So I appreciated that. And that way they weren't as cardboard or anything. They kind of had some depth to their character. So I enjoyed it a lot, and I really did like it. A lot.
Nice.
Thank you, kind sir. I enjoyed this too. It has a lot of layers. It's got a lot of, the first half I felt like had a lot of tension. There's a lot of shots of, I don't know, not knowing what's coming around the corner, kind of, people walking into this tower that they're not supposed to go in, and the headmistress being pretty hardcore. And then the second half, once something happens to Claudia, then after that, it's sort of like, to me, there's like evil portent. You're just waiting to see what that's going to be. Whereas up till then, we didn't really know what was going on, or at least for me. I got to look at more movies by this director, because there's quite a list of recommended ones. And I think I said the same thing when we did The Book of Stone, not quite a year ago. But this time I think I will. I hope. Please. I'd like to. Anyway, this was fun. It was a good movie. It's really a good movie. Where do we see it? We found it on Tubi, right?
Yeah, you have to look it up under the Spanish title to find. That's why I couldn't find it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I was typing in the.
Also on YouTube, there's
Yes.
a English captioned version on YouTube. So anyway, let's. You know what?
Chicken butt.
We have to do it. It's now time for Taglines with Chad.
I don't wanna. Oh my
All right.
God.
Taglines.
Okay. Oh boy, we've got to really dig deep and find a good tagline out of all these taglines we got here. But the first one I'm going to start off with is tagline number 1. Who will be next? And that is it for your taglines for this week for Even the Wind is Afraid.
And that's been
I'm afraid.
Taglines with Chad.
I'd like to conclude by putting my finger up my nose.
Only
just
one.
for fun. Just say the title as one, just for fun.
Yeah.
Just say it, what?
The title, because the title was our quote, right? So just since we didn't have any other taglines but this one, you should say the title.
Even the wind is afraid.
There we go.
Excellent.
I love that title.
Yeah.
I do too.
Okay. Well, as is our habit, I guess first we're going to take a look at posters and some DVD covers. So that's the one I see the most of.
Yeah, me too.
And it's a nice montage with little pieces of the movie all over the place. Oh God, I just noticed. So we've got the headmistress and the kind teacher Lucia there. And then right down below them is the striptease scene.
Kitty.
Kitty does her thing, and then Diego,
her name fits.
Yeah. And then right above that is Kitty and her boyfriend Armando,
who looks a lot
and
older.
above that, what looks like a ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like this artwork.
It's all there.
Yeah. It really is.
We're not listening to you, Diego. We don't care.
Yeah.
I've been in there many times. There's a ghost there.
Armando's only job is to show how fast he can run and jump over a wall. It kind of seems like.
Right.
Anyway, here's another one. I suspect that's a cover or even kind of I don't know for sure, but it's a photo.
And it's funny how even in the photo, like the girls look so much younger in the photo than what they do in the film.
You're very right. Even though that's definitely a picture of them somehow.
Yes. It's funny.
Who's the new girl? Follow her. Let's follow her. I'm not going in there. You go in there. She stinks.
The tower with the padlocked door that's never padlocked.
Right. No, that was suspicious.
Okay, then this one, here we are again.
Old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally,
this is the best. I love this one.
It's very cool like colors.
Yes.
Definitely.
And we got this white silhouette falling from the tower, apparently, or down the stairs or something. I don't know.
Well, I like the picture of Claudia. She's just looks really freaked out, and
yeah,
I really like it.
The colors are nice.
Is that Claudia?
Isn't that Claudia?
I think it is.
She has these long earrings on. I didn't see.
That is true. I don't remember long earrings on anybody, but
I don't either.
She does have long earrings.
And I thought, isn't Claudia the one that falls too?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess she could be. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was her like being scared, or like one of the times when she was seeing the girl.
Waking up from a nightmare with
whoever she is,
she's earrings on.
Yeah,
trying to get my hand to do that, but it won't. I don't have the daintiness.
Yes,
the daintiness of my hands will not allow me to imitate that pose.
Your nails are all off.
Whitney's got it, I think.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So what all do you guys want to talk about? I mean, I think I loved, just to sort of start it off, is I loved the cinematography and the direction, the angles of the shots and the way that they would, like, the camera would a lot of times would like pan down to like somebody's feet as they were walking and then come up to something else. And it just created a real sense of I don't know, fear and tension for me on what's just out of sight of the shot.
It's definitely a film that takes advantage of atmosphere, because I mean the nature in itself is like a big deal in the title. Like even the wind is afraid. So there, and I think the premise was because of obviously the ghosts and the ghost girl that's supposedly haunting the school. But when it comes to like shooting, I really loved like the tension build of like cinematography showing, like especially that first scene you guys brought up. You see something you don't expect, like it's intense right away. You see the feet dangling like from the girl that's hanging. That's really disturbing. I was not expecting that.
No.
It really threw me. But no, definitely you guys saying like it's got a hammer feel in the shots and stuff, and I completely agree.
And I like what you're saying too about, the different shot angles and stuff from down below. But one of the things that I loved the beginning opening scenes. I thought that was so good, like we've talked about. But I also kind of liked how Claudia was in the middle, and then you see the legs in the middle, and then it's almost like there was a bunch of blocks, or like the screen was kind of split up in threes, because then when the lightning struck, then on one side you saw the body, and then the other side the shutters flew open, and you saw, so it was like, it just felt really like kind of block. And I like how it kind of cut up that screen that you were watching. And that beginning scene was, I tried not to think about the fact where the light source would be, and like, would you see the hanging lady? But for power and effect, it was awesome. Yeah.
So I guess we should just start out. This is like one of the opening shots of the movie.
Yeah.
So disturbing.
Stop jumping on the bed.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah. So creepy.
And then at that point we find out it's
a nightmare.
Trying to be a nightmare. Nobody tells her that really happened, what she saw. Right.
Daphne's got me thinking about the lighting now. If it was lit the way
I know, I'm sorry.
She would show on the wall as well somewhere.
I'm sorry. I know.
So the light source is way up
I'm
above.
such a jerk. I know.
No,
I'm sorry, but
it's okay. It's okay, because I like figuring stuff like this out.
Yeah, but you gotta
but
have
it's a
this
dream,
silhouette,
right? It's a dream.
Yeah.
So who knows? The light source doesn't matter.
You don't see the roses. You don't see anything else on the wall but her.
Right. But I think that's so cool, because this is not like, if I would have seen this, I would not think this was a dream sequence. This is just like very much happening right now.
Right. That's why it's so jarring in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because where from that point on, now you know where this guy could be going, right?
Yeah.
So I like this director a lot. I liked Book of Stone. I like this one even better. But remember, Book of Stone had some really cool lighting too, where we saw like the Stone Boy's face in the background, a la The Shape in Halloween, but 10 years earlier.
Well, like what you said, so much of this atmosphere. Yeah, just exactly. So much atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, he's got some other ones with titles that I just have to see. There's one in 86 called Poison for the Fairies.
Yeah, Poison for the Fairies, yeah.
That's ranked pretty high. We talked about him quite a bit with Book of Stone, so if I recall.
Blacker Than Night, I think, was another one, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Darker Than Night, but the Spanish title, maybe. Anyway. Poison for the Fairies. What? Rapina?
Oh, they're terrible. You have to put out rat poison.
Oh my God.
Leave some poison for the fairies.
They're everywhere. They get in your oatmeal. You open up the mashed potatoes, and they're all ear.
I don't know too much about it, but he also has another title called like The Warrior Saint.
Huh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a mixture of Spanish and English titles in IMDb, but Noche de Muerte?
The Night of Death. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so he has done stuff other than horror.
Yeah. So some of this. Go ahead, Chad.
Me?
Yeah.
No, you said ooh, ooh, and I said Mr. Carter.
Mr. Kate.
So he's even got, and I'm not sure what his credits are on him, if he's the writer or he's the writer on them. The one that we just mentioned, Noche de Muerto, Noche de Muerte, is a Blue Demon movie.
Hello.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
Yes, a criminal impersonating Blue Demon goes around murdering people and stealing jewelry.
All right,
That's
add
cool.
these to the list.
Yeah.
And there's one for Santo too. I forget what it is, a Santo and the Anonymous Murderer or something like that. Santo, an anonymous death threat. That was it. So there might be some other ones in there too if we dig in a little more. Anyway, I've enjoyed at least the two movies he's seen, and I've got some others I'd like to see.
Poison for the Fairies. Is that later? Is that a later movie? of his?
Yeah, that's like
in the 80s or
86.
something. Okay, yeah.
All right, so we have we mentioned Marga Lopez, who is the headmistress on the right, and she was the lead in The Book of Stone as well.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I totally didn't even notice that.
I can't believe that didn't,
Right.
But that's awesome though. I mean, it shows again, like some, how connected, like when you work with certain individuals in film, you can move them around and keep them in projects.
A lot of directors, if the actors do a good job, they always bring them back. And
Yeah.
like, what a meanie.
Well, and these are two totally different parts, right? Because in The Book of
Yes.
Stone, she's kind of the nice person in this, amongst this weird
innocent.
family, and then here she's the evil headmistress who.
That's true. So it's like reflecting back. Yeah, she was more innocent in that one, but here she's not too. Yeah, she's
I like
definitely
that
strict and mean.
They're such different characters, and she did awesome in both. I didn't even think about, and I knew about the other movie, but I didn't even think about that she was the same person.
I
So
recognized her name,
job.
but I did not recognize her. She was such a different person. Her
The
hair's
character is so
darker.
different.
It's done totally, and then the woman next to her is Maricruz Olivier. Maricruz. Oh, I forget. I always forget the roll R's. She plays Lucia. Is that right?
Lucia?
Yes.
Lucia. It's Italian, Spanish. I should just forget about it.
It's okay.
And just do English. But anyway, she plays very well too. And for a while, I was keeping my eye on her.
Oh yeah.
Well,
you were
it seemed like
suspicious
the
of her.
headmistress is the obvious person to
Yeah.
watch, and so maybe there's something else going on here.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even think about that. That's awesome.
So how do you pronounce Alicia's last name? Is it Bonet or is it Bonnet?
Bonnet.
Bonnet
No.
plays Claudia in the bottom picture there, and she's pretty good too.
Yes,
she's good.
she was great. Like she was definitely one of the I would say stronger characters. I mean, she. Oh boy, I don't know where to begin.
She was also definitely 42 when she made this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think she was as old as Norma Lazarino, but let's see here.
Well, I thought she did a really good job being like this kind of, sweet, one of the nicer girls and sweet. And then when she became possessed or whatever
it was after the
you wanted
fall.
to say.
Yeah,
right. After the fall, she did a really good job of having this kind of like otherness about her.
Yes, exactly.
So I thought she did a really good job of being that character.
She did.
So in general, we find out that 5 years before, one of the school's students had gotten in trouble for something, and the headmistress punished her by saying, "You can't go home for spring break."
Well, her father died.
Yes.
Her father died
or something.
Or one of her parents, and she wouldn't allow her to go home.
Yeah.
And she ends up killing herself, hanging herself in this tower, right? And then at some point, she's Claudia's being drawn to her, right? Or she keeps trying to go into the tower, and she goes up into the tower, and there's a sort of a runaround struggle kind of thing, and Claudia breaks through the railing and falls down the stairwell, really, right? Or was it outside?
Well, off the side, yeah. She takes a big fall from the second floor, at least, yeah.
And they all think she's dead, but she's not.
She was unconscious.
But she is now possessed by Ava, right? And she's out to get revenge on the headmistress. So that's what we were talking about, to kind of fill you in on that. It was
Da-na-na.
But I feel like I didn't necessarily, I knew something was coming with the other girl, but I couldn't have said that, oh, she's going to die and then become possessed. I felt like I was still like following the story, and oh my God, Claudia died. And then wait, Claudia's alive. And, and then then they introduced the whole kind of ghost kind of thing. And so I really had a lot of fun with the story going along. I got sucked into it.
Yeah.
What was the dead girl's name? Andrea or Andrea?
Andrea.
Oh, what am I saying? Ava? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We knew who we were talking about.
Yeah, there was lots of names. That's why it was just
No, it's not easy retaining the names of some of the female characters, because
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There was. And that was actually kind of fun and refreshing, at least for me, because the only two there's three male characters, but they have very little to do with anything.
Right.
Armando, who's Kitty's boyfriend.
Yeah.
The doctor, who's
useless.
Yeah.
But he's the one.
Can't possibly be a ghost.
Exactly.
And
he's
and then
skeptic.
Diego, who does kind of is sort of sympathetic and gets what's going on, but he's just the handyman or the gardener or I don't know exactly what his job is, but he's the
it's like a keeper, like ground, like keeper,
caretaker.
Keeper Willie,
yeah.
So it's interesting that she goes to him to talk to him, right? I think.
I thought so too, and it kind of added a whole other kind of creepy layer to the story, because the two teachers, the headmistress and the teacher, they've been there for a while, so they have like a past there with Diego. So it's like this history of like different layers of the story. And so when you see Lucia going and talking to Diego, they have a relationship that already exists, the past experiences, and they're talking about this other girl. And I liked that too. For me, that added a little bit of depth to what they're doing there, and maybe what happened in the past before these girls even showed up.
Right.
Like, they were all there when it happened.
Yeah. It makes you think of like which of these three individuals, like Diego, the headmistress, and Lucia, like which, even though we felt maybe more drawn to Lucia or Diego for obvious reasons, because the headmistress being the way she was, but also it makes you and takes you in the mind frame of, okay, well, what were they really to Andrea? Like, what were their causes to her death? So I think it makes, there is that little air of mystery that sucks you into the conflicts there. And those dynamics with those characters.
Yeah, and Diego's the one who first brings up the sort of legitimizes the idea of a ghost and connects it to the wind, right? That when the wind.
Yeah, he has no problem saying who she, saying that she's a ghost or that she's still there, or that she's a
Yeah.
spirit or whatever.
Diego is played by Rafael Llamas.
Yamas. Yep.
It finally hit me.
One of the things I
he
like
said
is-
something that really, he was like, who really knows what the dead want? Because she asked,
Yeah.
what does she want? And
Mhm.
I'm sure Diego probably had an idea, but didn't
Mhm.
want to say.
I like in a lot of these kind of ghost stories and some of the gothic stuff, there's these characters that just kind of live with nature, live with ghosts, live with the possibility of all these things. They're usually like secondary characters or something, it seems like. But like Diego, it's like, oh, I mean, he lives there, he works around the tower, he fixes the clock, he knows what happened, he knows this person is a ghost, and he's just like, yeah, this is just life, I'm just doing my job.
And Jeff pointed out the headmistress being in the Book of Stone. Well, now I'm realizing Raphael, he was in the Book of Stone too. He was Professor Esquivas.
Oh,
The expert back at the college?
The professor, yeah. No, wait,
okay.
Raphael Llamas?
Professor Esquivas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Missed that.
Diego.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, we have two. There's two actors from that in this one though. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, well, we also have, it's a girls' school. This is the little band of evil girls that had to be punished.
Yeah.
Although we're missing Josephina in this.
Oh.
one.
She's busy tattletelling on everybody.
She's the chismosa, la chismosa, with chisme, with gossip, with the gossiper, with the gossip.
Yeah, it's interesting because that you bring that up, and I think you talked about that in another.
I did. I'm trying to remember what
Spanish or Mexican movie. I don't remember which one, but the idea of the.
There's always it's actually stereotyping. Like there's always a nosy girl and something. It's sort of a stereotype in Mexican, some South American cinema. Doesn't really matter what era. Somehow there's always like a nosy woman. I'm like, oh, Josefina is that person here, sort of.
Well, because they tell her more than once. Yeah, they tell her more than once to stop gossip, stop with the gossip. I thought, well, that's a weird word to be using because she's I guess it's gossip, but it's she was like an agent of the headmistress, and
she's definitely like trying to be the goody two shoes kind of person, but it bites her in the ass. I mean, she in the butt, whatever. Yeah, so especially with what happened in this one scene, I'm sure was Chad's favorite scene was the dance scene. Because he loves dance numbers.
I didn't watch it, so.
But I like that they included a little bit about why she was like that. Like, because they really, I feel like they really kind of tried to, even though the girls were not nice to each other.
No, not at all.
I felt like they were still kind of believable in the sense that they were still together, at least at the school during this time when they were alone. So they at least gave a story about why Josephina was like that, because I think she only had an aunt or something, and so she didn't really she never left, so she kind of found something in the headmistress that was kind of motherly, and I like that.
Well, there is. That's just another one of those sort of layers. They try to give everybody a motivation of the main characters anyway, and then we find out that the headmistress is, absolutely against this idea of a ghost, as is the doctor. But Lucia is a little more open and accepting because she's like, this is not normal. The girls are pretty much all in because they're the ones that are seeing the figure in the window or the Claudia's dream and that kind of stuff.
Now, I know I joked about the dance scene, but I know what they were trying to establish there, because like it's definitely how, they were not with what Josefina was representing as a character, being that, you know, one that's close to the headmistress. Even though, like, that's not my favorite scene. Like, I mean, I'm like, they could have done something a little bit different, but also I get it. I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to establish their relationships with each other as girls, and also what would girls really want to do if they're in a place, you know, they stuck at school like that. So some would try to be a little bit more try to show off or whatever. And Kitty's definitely like, what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to be nice about it, but she's definitely a scandalous kind of character, but she's also mean to Josefina, and she's the one that's like, oh well, I'm the one that I can do strip tease, and but when she's doing that thing, it's like I felt like it's about, you know, being show off, showing like some kind of power over Josefina, and then she's turning around wanting to do that to her, you know. So I don't know. Am I anyone else see what I'm saying?
I think that's exactly right. She wanted to have that
control over her.
Yeah, that's
make
how
her feel
bullies.
humiliated.
You're right. Almost a bully type of a where I'm going to do this and I don't care, and that kind of a thing. And you are too now.
Well, and I feel like she also was. They were all kind of, I feel like, dealing with their sexuality.
Yes.
You know, and because I kind of liked how she just went for it, and I was like, oh my god, like I was watching her too. But even the girls were a little like, oh my gosh, don't the girls who are watching the striptease seem to be a little uncomfortable about it too. Like there were still little kids, there were still little girls, but then here Kitty's like being super, you know, kind of sexual and stuff, and then provocative, and then I don't know if it's like testing their boundaries or kind of pushing things a little bit, and then to just be flat out, you know, cruel to Josefina. And it's almost like they just were like a gang together, just kind of like exploring all this stuff and then attacking her to make her as an accomplice. But I also feel like, not to justify it or anything like that, but I kind of feel it was almost like a hazing or something, because after that and I don't know if it was because she felt like, oh, if I told her, then they would tell on me and I would get in trouble too. But she seemed to be a little bit more involved in the group, or as part of the group afterwards. So I'm not sure, but that was kind of a hard. Watching them do that to her was hard to watch, but definitely believable. I'll tell you that right now. Definitely believable.
It is, because like some girls are just, I mean, it's like Mean Girls, you know. I mean that's very much something that's possible in any given situation. So
which is a big difference between them and guys. If guys get deep pants, it's all a big joke and everybody laughs about it. But I feel like these girls were. The headmistress just has them under her thumb. They can't do anything, so that they get this little chance to let loose a little bit, and
have some power. Have some power to exert it over someone.
It went way too far.
Well, and Kitty is the one that pushes that. Right?
It also.
By the way, Kitty is
34.
Yeah.
Not quite, but Kitty is the one with the hair. I shouldn't have to say anything more than that. But, and
something else.
Has always has these kind of expressions on her face almost all the time, just like eye rolling type things. I'm sorry, Daphne.
Oh, I was just gonna say the scene kind of reminded me of Carrie a little bit. Opening scene of Carrie. God, I love that movie, but it made me think a little bit about like what the girls did to Carrie in the beginning. Kind of,
No, it's definitely dramatic. Definitely Mean Girls vibe stuff. And like, speaking of dramatic, I think I said something before about one of them. I don't, probably off before we got into the podcast, but Josefina, the one that played Josefina, Elizabeth de Perion, she's the one that went on to doing novellas, like telenovelas, like she did a lot of drama, and then it seemed like some of those series carried on like well into 2017.
Cool.
like telenovelas in Mexico, like or in South America, those things are like more eye appealing than horror for obviously for the general audience. Not everyone, but most audiences keep up with those kinds of things more. So it kind of makes me think about, well, her popularity was mainly in Elizabeth Duperion was more in those telenovelas. And that last one, let me see, where's that last one? That last novella series was La Rosa de Guadalupe, which is like the Rosary of Mary. So no, so yeah, so it's kind of cool to see how some people kind of move on to different genres.
And looking, since we're talking about the Book of Stone, I was looking up to see the pictures of the actors who were in that, and Kitty is in Book of Stone.
Oh, really?
She plays the new wife of the husband.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, but she had black hair. Yeah.
Oh.
It's like they kind of switch role, not really switch roles, but they both are different roles than in Book of Stone.
Her hair was it had a character to it in that one too. Because you mentioned
kind of like the younger, hipper kind of big hair. Yeah.
And she's got character hair too.
I
got one for you. The actress that plays Josefina, and Elizabeth Dupeyron. How's that?
Dupeyron.
Oh, I always forget to roll the R.
That's all right.
She was
I have awkward ones too.
She was one of Macario's little girls.
Oh my god!
Are you serious?
No.
Oh my
gosh! I'm serious.
That's crazy.
Really? That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh, I love it.
And then Go ahead, Whitney.
No, I don't think we mentioned it. Now that we're on Mexican films right now, if anyone has watched that and listened to us, go revisit that. And just because Ignacio Tarso Lopez, I told you guys, he passed away not long ago. He lived for an extensive life.
And I remember when you told us that, because I remember us talking about how he was still, I think he's still working or something. We were talking about how he is still around, still doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you said that he had passed away, I was like, oh, because
so
he was still doing stuff. Yeah.
So this woman, again, that played Josefina, was also in some American Westerns. She was in The Wild Bunch. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, The Deadly Trackers. I'm assuming, without knowing, that she's like a village girl. I think she has a bigger part in The Wild Bunch. Although I'm not entirely certain she's.
Well, I really felt bad for her when they did this to her. They did a really job of about showing that cruelty, and you can see in that picture there, she's totally exposed and alone.
So the Kitty character, which was Norma Lazarina, correct? Is that, or am I messing that up again?
No, you say it fine.
These names are trying to take up important spaces in my brain.
Yeah, well, I'm
trying to hold on.
Like to at least give him credit. So this, but she's just always messing around. She's got this boyfriend that she keeps talking about, and she's got the picture of the boyfriend at the table, and she's hiding it. And then the headmistress comes and takes it. And that's, I think, what just happened in that top picture where she's giving her the evil eye. And so she's going to lock it in her office. Well, then she immediately says, well, I'm going to go back and steal it. So we see her, nobody will go with her. So she's sneaking around and gets it, but also finds this picture of Eva. And I'm trying to remember, how did she know? Oh, Andrea. I'm sorry. Picture of Andrea. But at that part, they kind of know that has some significance by then.
How did they, now that you mentioned that, Did she just get it? Was it? I'm trying to remember why she was drawn to it, or if it was just a picture of a girl and she was like, "What's this?" I don't remember now.
I don't either. I just remember her taking the pictures out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in this shot here, so when they do the dance scene, she gets the one girl to play kind of a, I don't know, a jazzy 60s dance thing, and they start dancing, and then they get Josephina involved and make it look like she's going to be part of the deal, right? But then,
they're trying to get her as an accomplice, kind of,
and to get her away from being the spy, right? And then that's when Kitty says something about do a striptease, and they all just dive in on her. I mean, that's what except maybe Claudia. I don't think Claudia did.
No, I don't think she did.
No, they were all like just, I don't know, wild animals on her almost. They just all got participated in a pack on her. Yeah.
Well, and then Kitty goes into her own striptease, and it's actually a fairly long scene.
Yeah, it was.
This is the very end. Some of that she gets down to bra and panties, and that's her. She happens to look as she's dancing around and sees this figure looking in through the.
It's a Sam Squanch.
The window, yeah.
No, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to establish the relationships with each other, especially Josefina and between Kitty. But then this, bam, like
that's awesome.
That was great.
But the other, I mean, it's interesting to see the other girls' reaction to her dance, because some of them are like really enjoying it and rooting her on, and other ones are like, they're horrified, really, by what is she doing,
And then there's Andrea outside staring at her in Spanish, judging her. Judging her in Spanish.
Where did she buy those underwear? Those cheap looking underwear.
I thought you fast forwarded through there.
Well, I stopped at certain part.
Okay.
Sure.
Not the underwear you would expect in this girls' school with the button-down uniforms, and she wasn't even. So that was another thing. I mean, just little things they added to her character. Apparently, they actually had uniform nightgowns too, but she didn't wear the uniform, the regular nightgown.
She got in trouble for that too, because even was it Lucia or was it headmistress? One of them said something to her about that.
I think it was the headmistress.
So
why are you not wearing the same shirts that the same sleepwear that all the other girls are wearing?
Because it's a diaper.
But also, like, there's this shower scenes with the girls. They're having their conversations, and then Kitty establishes like how she feels as like a young woman. She even says something about I don't remember word for word, but she was definitely expressing how her sexuality was being like suppressed there or something.
Yeah, she was frustrated by the abstinence.
Yes, that's it exactly.
Yes.
So if that was made in the U.S. in the 80s, they would have all been nude.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought I was pleasantly I was appreciative of how you can do scenes like that without being lewd and lascivious,
It was tasteful. I will admit that. I mean,
plus they all would have died if it was an 80s movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true. That's true.
I thought that was kind of cool that everybody survived.
Yeah.
Until the end.
It's not like the tagline.
Except for the headmistress.
Who's next?
And then except for the headmistress, who we saw this is the precursor to her death. Andrea has, and they do a great shot of that. At one point, I don't think there's any reason for you to think anything of it. Maybe Claudia is looking at it, but there's this rope sash that ties back these curtains, and then later on there's a scene, and they just kind of glide over it, and the rope's gone. That sash is gone, and then we see that shot of her up waiting for her at the top of the stairs.
I didn't notice that the sash was gone, but I did notice that Claudia was kind of rubbing her fingers on it, like holding it and then like rubbing her thumb on it.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then later on you see her with it.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I missed that.
Little
That's cool you
foreshadowing.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I totally missed that it was missing. That was
they showed a shot of the curtains there with nothing on it and looking a little
But jumping to talking about it, the demise of the headmistress, even some of the characters, there was a conversation, I don't remember which one, maybe one of you guys would know, but one of the girls said something about what if something happened to the headmistress and Lucia would take over because she's nicer.
Oh yeah, I
Remember?
Yes, you're right. I didn't think about that.
and they
Yeah.
do. They give her the job.
Yeah. So was it? And like, wait, was that? It would be an obvious Kitty line, but I'm like, was that Kitty or was that another girl who said? I can't remember that, but I know it was said.
Yeah, it was said. I can't remember which one said.
Yep. Ah, that's really good. I didn't catch that, but that's nice.
So there's not much here, but these are Lucia and the headmistress and the doctor, Dr. Oliver.
Dr. Useless.
Dr. Useless.
Dr. Useless.
She'll be fine. Let her sleep for a little bit. And could I help myself to one of these sandwiches?
Oh, she fell. She's dead. Oh, she's not dead. Oh.
Well, she was just unconscious.
And then the bottom shot is Claudia and Lucia. And I think that's when they're noticing that Claudia is different after she comes back to life. Because she has this really odd look on her face that's disturbing, I think.
Yeah.
It was a more
bleak.
Yeah, like I don't know, like almost like her normal demeanor is sort of happy and that kind of thing, and it just turned just the opposite, like hell on wheels or something. It was just like a very intense look she had on her face.
Yeah.
And then it got really weird because she would there was a scene where she played piano at night.
How did you learn that song? And apparently it was a song that Andrea played. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what really Lucia was like. How did you learn that? And the headmistress was like, it's Bach or whatever it was. Chopin. Chopin. Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yes, as we try to explain away coincidences and supernatural events.
That's how we do it in real life.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. And I love there's that scene too where Diego, he's working away on that padlock, with that all he
butter knife.
prying on it with a screwdriver or a knife or something. And then, that's good. Doesn't last for very long. We were talking about that scene in the bottom, Daphne, where where Claudia, that's when after she's come back, been resurrected, and is possessed by Andrea and has that different look on her face.
Well, Lucia's look that's the stupidest doctor I've ever seen in my life. Just declaring people dead, and she's not dead. She's standing right.
That doctor was the doctor that's the bad stereotype of doctors, like the Messiah complex. Oh, what I said is the way it is, and you people are all just being foolish. All right. Well, what else? Anything else we need to talk about here?
I can't think.
This is just a really cool little ghost story.
Yep.
And it's the characters are really cool. This, like I said earlier, the story is, and it's just, and like Daphne said, it's a fun little ghost story, and that I think everybody would really like.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I'll add is the headmistress with her death. What was really strange but kind of neat was seeing how I think it was Claudia who was on the floor. Like, she seemed to be just as like jolted by the death of of her. Like, and they say it's suicide. I'm like, but it was Andrea, or was it? Or it makes you think, but was it Claudia?
Right.
I don't. That's how I took it anyway.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. Because she was in the room.
Yeah.
When they found Claudia, when they found the body of the headmistress.
That was something that I thought about too, about how, you know, in the older movies or maybe the Gothic movies or something, you would find the person would find the body, and there wasn't a question about that person did it. It was more just like, oh, what happened? You know, but now you might say, well, even then I feel like sometimes it was taken not advantage of, but they used it as part of the story. Like, they were there, but they were there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like, and they use that to kind of add some mystery to the story. I like that. Yeah.
One more thing to her, like, headmistress's death is like, again, it's the title, even the wind is afraid, or the wind really, because like you hear that wind, you hear the crying of like what you think is Andrea, that's like got the headmistress in this like she's
trance or something.
Yes, she's in this trance, and that's what's leading her to her demise. So it's really neat.
I really like how, I think you mentioned this before too, Whitney, is just the use of nature as part of kind of the stuff. And I feel like that, I think that was also true in the other movie, the Book of Stone, or it was definitely part of the atmosphere, but it's just kind of like, this is just what was happening. You know, it was like the ghost was walking around, the nature was kind of involved, everything was wrong, or something was wrong, you know, with everything. And I just love that. I love that atmosphere.
I got a question for you guys. What do you think it's described as a Gothic ghost story? What do you think makes it Gothic besides the tower?
I think about that question a lot, actually. Yeah. What is Gothic?
I mean, and I always thought it was a time era, or an era of time, but this seems like a more modern setting than most of those. So I just wondered what you guys' take on that was.
That's something I think about a lot, and I because I use the word Gothic, and I feel like when I think about it, I kind of feel like
atmosphere,
or there's usually like, I don't know, I feel like lots of times this involves a family or something, but I guess that isn't really true here. I think of it mostly as atmosphere, and usually tragedy. Okay. I feel like, and I was thinking about it too when I was watching it, it's like, you know, there's a woman walking through some scene with her dress blowing in the wind or something like that. You know, I don't know if that's all really what Gothic is, but in my head, I think when I think about that question, that's what I think of. I'm sure that there's probably some definition of it. I feel like there's like I feel like you're right, tragedy, some sort of supernatural thing happening. I don't know.
It definitely played well with the atmosphere. So I definitely say 100% with that.
Do you have any idea about that, Jeff? I feel like maybe I feel like with books and stuff that's also often a word that's used when describing kind of some spiritually supernatural kind of charge. What do you think about Gothic?
My first uneducated take on it was just something that's just, I don't know, an opinion that's formed by, I don't know, listening to other people talk about it in movies that I watch. Is that, you know, to begin with, like there's a lot of this movie is in the dark and it's very windy and you can't see it. That to me is like a Gothic atmosphere, and the ghosts. Whether that's really what it is, I was just trying to look that up, and I keep getting all kinds of other things. I finally found one. What makes a Gothic movie? Following a long tradition of romantic art and literature, phantasmagoric theater, melodrama, and expressionism, Gothic films have a recognizable mise en scène based around archetypal settings and characters. So I don't know.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a modern or a like horse and carriage era type
Guess not.
things for it to be Gothic, because that's what I always I guess growing up on Hammer films and stuff,
Exactly.
and it's always been called Gothic. That's the time period I always thought it was in. So okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm sure someone can write in on it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's probably also like kind of stuff that Jeff was mentioning. There's probably some sort of historical, connection, like romanticism, and then kind of how the styles changed or something. But
Alistair, if you're listening, give us a shout.
Anybody, but Al too. Yeah, we haven't heard from Al for a while, so I guess we need to do a Hammer film.
Oh darn.
Anyway, I enjoyed the heck out of this. So I was just looking up quickly the cinematographer. His name is Agustin Jimenez. 184 credits, nominated 3 times for Silver Ariels, and also won one. I noticed that he had done a couple of movies with, and I'm going to get this name wrong, but Luis Buñuel, which we have to do one of his movies because I know he's one of the top Mexican directors, Buñuel. So that are dark and eerie looking. So I think this guy really knew what he was doing and helping to create this atmosphere. Anything else anybody wanted to talk about? We haven't brought up.
Watch it. It's on TV. It's
YouTube.
So it's so much fun. It's got the kind of 60s vibe thing happening, and it's got a ghost story, and it's really, I really liked it. Yeah, really liked it. I think people should check it out.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, and apparently we kind of, I think we mentioned at the beginning, but it was considered a cult movie in Mexico and has been credited as having revitalized the Mexican horror genre.
Oh, and there is a remake of it apparently. Too.
Yeah, that didn't get. It wasn't very highly spoke of.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There was a remake in 2007, and it's some quick reviews. I'm just in Vulture. It listed as one of their recommendations for Mexican horror writing that what we hear and the tension built through the ambiance, the eponymous wind in particular, rings more affecting than what's actually shown on screen. Comics Beat praised the film for its acting, character development, and ambiance. And there was a 50th anniversary showing, I guess, noted its cult status. Norma Lazarino, who stated that the movie was ahead of its time. She also said that the director conspired with technicians to play tricks on the actresses so that they would become unnerved during filming, which she credits as enhancing the movie's tension and fear factor. All right.
Gosh.
So that's it for Even the Wind is Afraid. Again, it's on Tubi. It's also on YouTube. Check it out. There is also a Blu-ray available, so check that out. Okay.
All right.
We do have a couple of feedbacks, and these are 2 of the most interesting feedbacks we've had in a while.
All right.
So,
okay.
The first one is episode 146, Fantastic Voyage. I think there's some words didn't translate correctly, like maybe they were dictated or something, because the last sentence in particular doesn't make sense to me, but maybe you guys can figure it out. And the writer's name is Slamit Rapley, which I'm always a little leery that there's a joke there that I'm missing that everybody else will get, but I don't. Anyway, Slam It Rapley. Who wants to read that?
I'll read it. Slam It Rapley says, I love to see the crew come out through good tears. They look so cute and funny, especially Raquel Welch.
It's true.
Why didn't the Colonel suppress them when they were in those tears? Well, I did think he told them to shut up a couple times.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what suppress them meant and why, but okay.
We don't know, Slam It.
We don't know, Slam It.
But they were pretty cute coming out of those tears.
Yeah, they were. You have to admit.
And then as they sat on the whatever that thing was called, what was that? The 0 unit or elevate the, that where when they grew up to size, they were like,
yeah.
Perfectly, I don't know, set up, choreographed or something. The way they were leaning on each other and stuff. It was.
And fun. I don't remember who said it, but afterwards, I'm kind of like, why didn't they just shoot him in through the tears?
We did have that discussion.
This whole ship and everything.
Yeah.
We did have that discussion.
Right.
Maybe that's what this person is talking about. It's like, why didn't they just go in those chairs?
They would have been right there.
Here's one for episode 143, Diabolique, from Dan Carlo. You want to take that one? I have an answer for this one, but I'll let Daphne go ahead and read it.
Okay, so it was my pick. Sure. Dan Carlo. Diabolique, this film only keeps the main idea of novel Ce qui n'était plus. Clouseau wanted the central character to be a woman, so his wife could play it. Boileau and Narcejac reportedly were not happy with the changes, but ultimately had to agree that the final result was better. Strange to see that people knowing a lot about movies are not aware that Clouseau, Signore, Maurice, and Vanel were huge stars. Is that a dig? Not sure.
Maybe.
Doesn't matter.
If it is, I don't care. Because
exactly.
I still don't know who they I never knew who they were.
The first thing I would say is I think we did know. I knew at least about Clouseau and Signoret, but whether or not I can pronounce them correctly. And Maurice and Vanel, we kind of learned as we were doing this.
Well, I never claimed to be an expert.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's my point is we're just four people that love movies that talk about it. We don't claim to be experts. We
Sometimes
do some research.
We dabble in film, but
we mostly tell fart jokes here.
That's true.
All the time.
We try to talk about
like high school
things that might be of interest that we learn in our limited research. But
don't try to be something that we're not. But
no.
You guys all have jobs.
Well, I guess I could be remembering wrong, but I felt like we had an idea that these people were definitely talented and well known.
Yeah.
We knew the movie was a masterpiece.
I don't want to assume that this is a dig, but Chad said, it doesn't matter. But so if we let's just get it out to more people who don't know about it.
Exactly.
I feel like Diabolique, so many people who like horror movies at least know the picture, or recognize the story or the name or something. But
now we know. And this is how we learn things.
Exactly.
It is.
And we want everybody to learn things and be able to talk about things and say, what does Gothic mean? And what does horror mean? And, all that stuff.
Anytime, like most of the time when I've been here and almost every film, I'm like, this is the first time I'm seeing this because it's a learning experience for me. It's been a learning experience for me. So
and we want to learn.
Yeah, we're covering decades and decades and decades of classic movies. So some of them are lean more toward the dramatic. Some lean more towards sci-fi. Some lean to straight up horror. So there's a lot of stuff out there that maybe we're not aware of, but that's the cool part of this. And it's one of the reasons that I love this podcast so much, is there are a lot of things that we learn as we're going. Things that I'll be out and about and I'll hear somebody talking about a certain director or a certain movie and we've covered here, and I'm like, yeah, I know that, where I wouldn't have known it before. So
Right.
it might be strange to some, but it's for us, it's learning and showing appreciation for the movies.
I mean,
And talking about it with friends.
Yes.
It's like sitting around at the comic book shop on Fridays when the new comics would come in, and you just go, "Hey, what do you read?" Oh, no, what are you reading? And it was kind of like that.
Yeah, I love it.
So, just to follow up on something that we talked about earlier, I remember somebody had suggested these, or else we just talked about them in general. But I watched Clouseau's Wages of Fear, which is the truckers transporting loads of nitroglycerin over dangerous, mountain roads and stuff, which was remade in the 70s. I think it was called The Sorcerers. It's a William Friedkin movie.
Sorcerer. William Friedkin, yeah.
Sorcerer, yeah.
With
and it also starred Charles Vanel, the guy who played the inspector in Diabolique, and Vera Clouseau. So in an entirely different part, and Yves Montand. So I thought it was a really good movie. A lot of tension and character development, conflicts, things like that. So anyway, I kind of trying to pick those up, but I'm the one that doesn't have anything else to do. I do have other things to do, but I'm retired. So I watch like over 400 movies a year, but there's, I mean, for these podcasts, we do like, I think, I don't know, I figured it out once, but it's like, I watch like 250 movies just for the podcast, I think. We do.
I believe it. You guys
3
do so many
decades of
movies.
horror every week, and 4 every 2 weeks, and 4, so that's 7.
You do the streaming ones?
Like 175,
Yeah.
like 175 a year just for the podcast. So to try to catch up on other stuff, but we do our best, and we're just trying to have fun and hope it's entertaining. So if it wasn't a dig and you're just saying, "Oh, I was surprised you didn't know about this," that's cool too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate the comments. We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And if there's more stuff you want to talk about with Diabolique that we didn't know, I would love to hear it, because I thought it was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And I would, absolutely love to hear more about it.
Oakley dokley. Well, that's it, Grue believers, for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we focus on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by Chad. What are we doing, Chad?
X the Unknown.
That movie had a serious effect on me
Really?
in my younger days.
Yeah.
And
I've
that's
only
gonna be
seen it
interesting.
relatively recently. So,
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if it holds up. I have
mhm.
I'm not going to predict. But written by Jimmy Sangster, Dean Jagger, Leo McKern, Anthony Newley. So, yeah, good pick, Chad. And that, I believe, is it on the Sci-Fi Horror Channel?
Yes, it is.
That's where I saw it. Yeah.
Sci-Fi Horror Movie Channel. Okay. And I think it's available other places. I don't know for sure. I haven't double checked. So, all right. So, folks, plenty of ways to stay in touch. Yeah, send us feedback. We read them, even when you you may or may not digging us, or may or may not make any sense, or at least that we can figure out.
Right. And I personally want, since I was the one that said, is it a dig? It's like, I'm not saying it was or wasn't. I'm happy that you wrote
right.
and if it, whatever, write in more. I'd love to hear people talk about stuff.
I'm personally offended.
If we sounded a little defensive about it. But seriously, we had somebody else comment. We're not historians. We're just for people that like to have fun watching, talking about movies and seeing movies we haven't seen before. So,
and it may not always seem like it, but I know we do research to learn about it because we're just interested in it. So we're trying.
I make no apologies.
So,
yes.
So yeah, leave comments on the YouTube channel. You can also visit our Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH podcast Facebook group, or Gruesome Magazine website, gruesomemagazine.com. All that stuff. There's a lot of things going on there. So, and subscribe. Please subscribe. Even if you listen on audio, please subscribe to the video on the YouTube channel. All righty. I guess.
All righty.
Catch us again.
All righty then.
Oh, I said it, didn't I? All right. So anyway, I'd like to conclude by putting my finger up my nose.
He's a bad conversation ender.
Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic era, as only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night.